What's going on, everybody? It's the Bulls Show, aka Aiden, and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be discussing the ESPN Top 100 list and the Chicago Bulls players that appear on this Top 100 list. Now, at the end of the day, I find this list very interesting. There are a lot of positives and definitely a lot of negatives towards this list. I'm not going to name every single positive and negative. There's 100 players on this list. It'll take way too long to look at every single individual player and say, yes, that's the correct position. No, they should be lower. No, they should be higher. But we will be doing that for the Chicago Bulls perspective. I have taken a little bit more interest in this year's compared to last year's because of the amount of negativity we've seen over the Chicago Bulls for the past couple of weeks to a month. And we'll just see what ESPN has to think. A lot of other articles, other companies have had their say on Chicago Bulls players. What does ESPN think? But before we get started, please like and subscribe to the Bulls Show, turn notifications on, and let me know in the comments below your thoughts about whether or not you think the players on this list are deserving of their position. Should there be more players on this list? Should players go up in terms of their rating, or should they go down in terms of their rating and where they're supposed to be? Very, very interesting stuff here, ladies and gentlemen. But first and foremost, we will take a very big positive out of this situation. The fact that there are 4 Chicago Bulls players on this list speaks volumes to how good our starting 5 could potentially be heading into the regular season. And also, I'm not sure how many other teams can actually say they have 4 players in the top 100 list. Now, I'm not going to go through every single team because I don't know every single team. I'm not here counting, oh, he plays for the Bucks, he plays for the Warriors, he plays for this and that. I'm sure there are a couple other teams that have 4 or 5 players in there, but the Bulls have 4, and I think that's extremely positive. That means 4 out of our 5 players in the starting lineup are within the top 100. That shows, at least in my opinion, no matter where they're ranked, we have a good starting 5, and hopefully when everybody's healthy, we will be able to see the starting 5 in full effectiveness. So we'll start off this one, ladies and gentlemen, with, I guess, the player that is ranked 78th, and his name is Lonzo Ball. Lonzo Ball was recently ranked 57 in 2021. Here's what they had to say about Lonzo Ball. One huge question for the 2022-2023 season: how healthy will Ball be this season? Ball hasn't appeared in game since January 14th and has experienced discomfort whenever he ramps up basketball activity this offseason. He's not expected to participate in the start of training camp, raising questions from when he might be ready to return on the floor. Now, doesn't necessarily explain why he's ranked where he is, but I guess if you're looking at the concerns of Lonzo Ball next season, you would have to argue that ESPN might be able to say he didn't have a lot of time on the floor. He hasn't appeared on the court since January 14th. That's why he took a massive leap or massive decrease in terms of his rating, I should say, to appear 78th when he was 57th the year before. Upsetting, because in all honesty, if you're looking statistics wise, I think his statistics show he should be exactly where he was last year, if not more than that. To be honest, he should be higher ranking than that. But all things considered, the injury concerns, I can understand if that's what Bleacher Report is talking about. However, there are certain things about this particular post that I can't let slip. So, recently, we saw that CBS Sports released their top 20 point guards, in which Lonzo Ball didn't make the cut. And I was arguing that Lonzo Ball should be a player that will actually make the cut. He should make the cut based on the fact that they had 2 players that were not playing last season and they made the cut. So all things considered, Lonzo Ball, who did play last year, played fairly a decent amount of games. Obviously, he missed most of the season, but he played a lot of more games compared to the other guys. He should have been on this list because, in my opinion, he's better than those guys. There are a couple of guys on this list. There are 25 point guards according to ESPN, and what they rank their positions that are better than Lonzo Ball. 25 point guards are better than Lonzo Ball. And some of the selections, in my opinion, are very, very controversial. For example, they listed Tyler Hero as a point guard. Now, look, Tyler Hero is 6th man of the year. Is he not? Is he a point guard? Is he a true point guard? Is he a guy that plays point guard for the majority of his career? Honestly, I don't think so. Now, I'm not a Miami Heat fan. I don't watch 82 games of Miami Heat basketball, so maybe a Miami Heat fan would more be inclined to say, yes, he played a lot of point guard for the Miami Heat this year. But Tyler Hero is known as a shooting guard. He has always been known as a shooting guard, and I think this year is no different. He's always been a player that likes to play in the shooting guard positions, and they have a hefty amount of point guards as well. So look, personally, I don't think he's a point guard, and the fact that Bleacher Report listed him as a point guard is absolutely absurd. Other guys that I found very interesting, Spencer Dinwiddie is on this list compared to Lonzo Ball. Now, another guy that has had, I guess, injury-riddled seasons, but he did play well for the Dallas Mavericks. I thought that was a bit controversial, so I brought that to your guys' attention. Russell Westbrook was ranked ahead of Lonzo Ball. Now, Russell Westbrook all time is a better player than Lonzo Ball. No one can argue that. He has an MVP. He averaged a triple-double. He's been phenomenal for a lot of years. But this season, Lonzo Ball has absolutely destroyed Russell Westbrook, in my opinion. Lonzo Ball is having probably his best season despite the injuries. Russell Westbrook had one of his worst seasons in NBA history. So, if it's based on what's happening for next year, Lonzo Ball should be higher, in my opinion, than Russell Westbrook. If you're looking at all-time as well, which maybe they are, I can understand that one. Tyrese Maxey, who I think personally doesn't necessarily play a whole lot of point guard, especially with James Harden on the team. He's listed as a point guard here, so I thought I'd bring that to your attention. And Cade Cunningham was another one that I thought was very, very interesting as well. Now, I like Cade Cunningham. I think he has the potential to be one of the best point guards in the league in 5 to 10 years' time. I really, really do. But as of right now, in this day and age, I don't think he's better than Lonzo Ball. If you're looking at all time, he's not better than Lonzo Ball. So it kind of depends on what ESPN really shows value in these types of rankings, but 25 point guards are better than Lonzo Ball according to ESPN, so that's even worse than CBS Nation. Maybe it isn't, who really knows, but yeah, something to take a deeper dive into. I'm very, very happy that Lonzo Ball is on this list. He did take a massive drop off, but injuries are a factor for that, so I can't say I'm completely and utterly shocked that he took a decrease, but I am relatively upset that they consider 25 other point guards better than Lonzo Ball, because I just don't think that is true. But obviously, as a Bulls fan, I'm inclined to say that. We'll move on into the next one, ladies and gentlemen. Speaking of 57, Lonzo Ball was ranked 57th in 2021. Nikola Vucevic is ranked 57th in 2022. That is right, ladies and gentlemen. Now, Vucevic's original position was 39th in 2021. And this one is a lot more understandable, in my opinion. Now, I didn't look to see how many centers are ahead of Nikola Vucevic on this list, because there was an article a long time ago saying Nikola Vucevic is not a top 10 center. But I can put it to you this way. A couple of guys that I had arguments about in terms of the top 10 center position, ESPN has pulled Nikola Vucevic over a lot of those guys. So I respect that in that retrospect, and I can completely understand Nikola Vucevic going all the way down to 57. The reality is he had one of his worst seasons in a long time. Here's what they had to say about Nikola Vucevic. Can Vucevic bounce back in a contract year? The Bulls thought they were pairing 3 All-Stars with DeRozan, Levine, and Vucevic, but the big man had a disappointing 2021 to 2022 campaign, shooting 31.4% from 3 and struggling on defense. Again, it is exactly what they kind of said. He did have a disappointing year, but even in his disappointing years, he still put a lot of great numbers, and he still was better than a lot of good centers out there in this league. So I'm hoping Vucevic can bounce back. In my opinion, he's one of those players I'm really excited about, just because it looks like he's doing all the right things from what I've seen, and obviously from what people are telling me as well. I'm very excited for Nikola Vucevic, and I hope he can be one of those guys that can truly, in my opinion, take a big step next year and prove his all-star capabilities once again. But 57th, I'm not surprised he took a decrease. I'm not surprised that ESPN doesn't find him as good as he once was. But it's now the time to see if he can bounce back from that and put himself back in the upper echelon of that, I guess, tier list. And hopefully he'll be able to do that. Let's move on into the next one, ladies and gentlemen. We've got at number 28, DeMar DeRozan. This is very, very interesting, and I'll tell you why, because right after it, we've got another one of our players. But DeMar DeRozan as the 28th best player in the NBA as of today. Now, again, you have to take into consideration into the fact that I'm sure they're looking at a lot of all-time players here and not necessarily just last season. Because if you're looking at just last season, DeMar DeRozan, in my opinion, is a top 10 player last year. So they're taking, I guess, a lot into the fact that Maybe it's previous seasons. Maybe it's like, again, it's all time. It's how every single other season has went. Maybe it's the fact that he doesn't always deliver in the NBA playoffs, which I think is a very, very harsh argument to give to DeMar DeRozan, considering he had a lot of successful years in the playoffs without necessarily winning a championship. There are leaps and bounds, a bunch of other players that have the same case. So I don't know why it's all of a sudden being put on just DeMar DeRozan, but he was ranked 45th last year in terms of the top ESPN. So he was in the top 100. I remember a couple years ago, there was an argument that DeMar DeRozan wasn't in the top 100. So I believe that was right. So the fact that he's now 28th, it shows a massive improvement in DeMar DeRozan. Here's what they had to say about DeMar DeRozan. En route to a career-high 27.9 points per game last season, DeRozan proved to be a true master of the mid-range, becoming more efficient than ever from his favorite spots. He led the NBA in both mid-range field goals, makes, and attempts while shooting 47% of those shots. Again, not much to complain about from that, but yeah, look, if you're looking based on just last season, DeMar DeRozan should be within the top 10. I can understand not putting DeMar DeRozan there because he's probably not an top 10 best player in the NBA throughout the course of the entire NBA, so it makes sense, but DeMar had a really good improved year. But right next to him is Zach Levine, number 27. Now, Zach Levine was originally ranked 33rd. What I found interesting about this is that Zach Levine, on a statistical standpoint, had a worse year in 2021, 2022 compared to 2020, 2021, but he still managed to put himself in a higher, I guess, ranking, which is I found very, very interesting. I honestly didn't expect that, but you take the positives out of Zach Levine as well. I'm happy Zach Levine is as high as he is. Here's what they had to say about Zach Levine. How is Levine's left knee? After experiencing discomfort before the All-Star break, Levine underwent non-surgical treatment. Although still equally effective, Levine missed 13 of the season's final 43 games, then had arthroscopic knee surgery in May. If healthy, Levine could be in line for a third consecutive All-Star appearance. Again, I hope we can see an All-Star appearance from Zach Levine next season, and I'm not going to complain at the fact that he's higher than DeMar DeRozan. I think if it was just me personally, I would swap these two around, but Zach Levine does have more potential. He probably is our best player when he's fully healthy, and he did have a very good start to the season prior to his injuries, so fair enough. I can understand that situation as well. And that's 4 of the Chicago Bulls players in this list. No one else is ranked on this list. Zach Levine is technically, according to ESPN, our best Chicago Bulls player. And let me know in the comments below what you think. Do you think this list stands strong today for the Chicago Bulls? Are you happy with the ranking of those 4 players? Do you think there are other players that should be above or below our Chicago Bulls players and stuff of that nature? At the end of the day, I'm not going to sit here and rant about where they put Lonzo, where they put Vuce, or Zach or DeMar, because at the end of the day, it's one of those situations where all 4 of those players are there. It's a very long list, and it shows we have a good starting 5. But it's just another way where we could show that Lonzo needs to improve, or Lonzo needs to prove people wrong. Vucevic needs to prove people wrong. Zach and DeMar needs to prove people wrong, and try to get themselves higher on this list, to get more well-respected on this list as well, and just get respect from the mainstream media in general, because we've been disrespected for a long, long time. We have to prove a lot of people wrong just to even gain respect, let alone get success for our own regular season as well. So, again, let me know in the comments below what you think. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe if you're new. Have a wonderful and safe day, Bulls Nation. I'll see you in another Chicago Bulls video. Stay safe, stay healthy, stay tuned for more. Take care and peace.